Hi everyone, my name is Christine. Thank you for joining me. Have you ever needed to just sit at your sewing machine and just sew? Maybe you want to sit at your sewing machine and just sew. Or maybe you have to sit at your sewing machine and just sew because you have to get a project finished. A few months ago, I just needed to sit at my machine and just sew. And so I had come up with this brick and mortar quilt pattern. I will leave a picture of what that quilt looks like. I want to make a Christmas baby quilt for my new grandson. My grandma had made my daughters baby quilts when they were born, and then she had made them Christmas quilts for their first Christmas. So it's very special to me to be able to continue that on. I think this pattern goes together pretty quickly. It's just I just use 2.5 inch strips and 1.5 inch strips. So I hope that you will enjoy it too. If you're a beginner, this may be something that you would like to try. Or if you're an experienced quilter, maybe you just need to sit at your machine and just sew. So we all have those times where we just need to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get my fabrics all cut and sit at my machine and sew. Here we go. Okay, I have my 2.5 inch strips all sewn together, just very random. I made 2 separate piles so that when I go to put it into the quilt, if I'm not liking this side, I can just go to the other side or grab from the other pile because I want to make this as scrappy as possible. I have also sewn my red 1.5 inch strips all together, and I have laid out my first couple rounds because I wanted them to be in the quilt in a certain way. I am starting off, my first square is a 4.5 inch by 4.5 inch square. In my first brick and mortar quilt, the Halloween one, I started off with a 5 inch square. I don't think it matters what size you start off with on that. So that's completely up to you. And then I've also left a few pieces out in case I need to add those on these first rounds as well. But I'm trying to keep this totally scrappy and just have fun with it. Okay, my first round with my 4.5 inch square, I have also cut a 4.5 inch red mortar piece. And I'm just going to sew that to the right side. These cute little fishing bears are my next round, so I'm going to add that to the top. I'm going to try to get it to where I have all 3 of them in there. Okay, I have 1 full round done. So my first brick, which are my blues, my mortar is the red fabric. So my first brick and the red mortar on the right. Then I go to the top with brick and mortar, then to the left with brick and mortar, bottom brick and mortar, right brick and mortar. And then so I'll go top, left, bottom, right, top, left, bottom, right. So I just keep going until I get to the size that I want. For each round that I'm sewing, I square up each time after I iron. So I am using whatever line lines up along one of these seam lines right here to make sure that I'm keeping things square. And then if I got to turn off a little bit on the top, then I do that. And just flip it around. Do the same thing over here. And then this just helps keep it square so it doesn't get too wonky. I'm having so much fun making this baby quilt. When I first started putting it together, I did my mortar piece on the right, and then top, left, bottom. And then I just keep going counterclockwise around. But you will know that you are on the right side because in the later rows, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4 seams. And so you know that that is the next one that goes. The previous one has a solid red, a solid mortar piece, and the other two sides will just have 2 seams. So always look for that, and then that will be a good indicator for knowing that you are on the right side. But I did mine counterclockwise. You could do yours clockwise, and whatever rotation works best for you. But this is super fun to make. I was really happy with how many rounds I'm able to get for a fat quarter that I think it had 6 fabrics in it, and they were already cut into. So I think this is working out really good for minimal fabric and getting such a good, beautiful quilt out of it. All right, here's my sweet little baby quilt. It finishes at 31.5 inches by 32.5 inches. I'm just going to go ahead and get it sandwiched up and get it quilted. I'm going to put flannel on the back. You'll see I have a note written on my flannel. When I finish a project for the backing, if it's a significantly large piece, I measure it out, and then I just use a scrap piece of paper and put numbers on there so I can just look at my backing fabric and be like, hey, that works, and this is going to work. I think it's going to be great and soft and snuggly for him. I'm going to quilt this with my favorite serpentine stitch. I'm going to make 2 X's with this thingy. It came in my 8th grade sewing kit that I still use. So this is just more of a guide. I'm just trying to make an X in that center square. And so this kind of gives me initial lines, but otherwise I'm just going to keep it completely random and wavy, and however it turns out, that's how it turns out. I hope you have enjoyed my baby brick and mortar quilt. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great day.